The last rose petal had barely settled on Mom's grave when Marcus showed his true colors. I stood on our front porch, no, his front porch now, according to him, staring at the shiny new locks he'd installed while I was at the cemetery. "This house is mine now," he said, leaning against the doorframe with a smirk that made my stomach turn. "Your mother left everything to me. Time for you to find your own place, Emma." I clutched my house key, now useless, so hard it left marks in my palm. "Mom wouldn't have wanted this, Marcus. You know that. What your mother wanted doesn't matter anymore." He straightened his expensive tie, bought with Mom's money like everything else he owned. "She's gone, and you're not my responsibility. You have an hour to pack what you can carry." I stared at the man my mother had married 3 years ago, trying to see what she'd seen in him. The charming businessman who'd swept her off her feet after Dad died, who promised to take care of us both. Now, with Mom gone, the mask had completely dropped. "My clothes are in there," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "My laptop, my photos of Mom. Should have thought about that before you accused me of stealing your mother's medication, shouldn't you?" His voice was cold. "Actions have consequences, Emma. You're 23. Time to learn that lesson." The accusation had been true, of course. I caught him selling Mom's prescription pain medication during her final months, pocketing the money while she suffered. But when I tried to tell her, he convinced her I was jealous, unstable, trying to come between them. She'd been too weak, too medicated by then to see through his lies. "Fine," I said, straightening my shoulders. "Give me my hour." He stepped aside, gesturing mockingly for me to enter. The house I'd grown up in, where Mom and Dad had raised me, felt foreign now. Marcus had already started changing things, moving Mom's beloved artwork into the garage, replacing family photos with his tacky modern prints. I headed straight for my room, grabbing my backpack and the duffel bag from under my bed. What do you pack when your life is being erased? I took what clothes I could fit, my journal, the photo album I kept hidden in my closet. My hands shook as I grabbed Mom's old silver locket from my jewelry box, the one she'd given me the week before she died. "Keep this safe," she'd whispered, pressing it into my palm. "And remember, sweetheart, things aren't always what they seem." At the time, I thought it was just the medication talking. Now, looking at the delicate engravings on the silver surface, I wondered if there had been more to her words. 30 minutes, Marcus called up the stairs, his voice laced with satisfaction. I moved faster, grabbing my laptop charger and the small box of photos from under my bed. My eyes fell on the painting above my desk, a watercolor of our old lake house that Mom had done years ago. I reached for it, but Marcus appeared in the doorway. "The artwork stays," he said firmly. "Your mother's art collection is quite valuable. That's not going anywhere." I bit back a retort. Mom had painted that specifically for me on my 16th birthday. It wasn't part of her collection. It was a gift. But arguing with Marcus was pointless. I'd learned that lesson the hard way over the past 3 years. As I finished packing, my phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, Lucy. "Done at the cemetery. Want me to come over?" I typed back quickly, SOS. Marcus changed locks. "Kicking me out. Can I crash at your place?" Her response was immediate. "On my way. Don't let that bastard intimidate you." I shouldered my bags and took one last look around my room. The pale blue walls Mom and I had painted together, the window seat where I'd spent countless hours reading, the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling from my astronomy phase in middle school. All of it about to become part of Marcus's property, like everything else he'd taken from us. Downstairs, Marcus was on the phone, probably with one of his sketchy business associates. "Yes, we can meet tomorrow. The house will be empty. Well, emptier." He laughed at his own joke, shooting me a smug look. I walked past him without a word, but he grabbed my arm. "One more thing," he said, covering the phone's mouthpiece. "Don't get any ideas about contesting anything. Your mother's will is ironclad. I made sure of that." I pulled away from his grip. "Goodbye, Marcus." Outside, Lucy's beat-up Honda was just pulling into the driveway. She jumped out, her dark eyes flashing with anger when she saw my bags. "He's really doing this? The day after the funeral?" She moved to help me with my duffel bag. "We should call the police." "And tell them what?" "That my stepdad is legally evicting me from his house." I shook my head. "Mom left everything to him, Luce. He's made that very clear." "It's not right," she insisted, glaring at the house. Your mom would never have wanted this. No, I agreed quietly. She wouldn't have. But she also wouldn't have wanted him stealing her medication or emptying her bank accounts while she was dying. Sometimes people aren't who we think they are. As we drove away, I watched my childhood home disappear in a side mirror. The rose bushes Mom had lovingly tended were already wilting. Marcus would probably tear them out soon, replace them with something more modern. Lucy squeezed my hand. You can stay with me as long as you need. My mom already said it's fine. Thanks, Luce. I managed a small smile. I just need a few days to figure things out. But what was there to figure out? I had a decent job at the local library, but not enough saved for an apartment. Most of my savings had gone to helping with Mom's medical bills that mysteriously kept growing despite our insurance. Now I knew why. We stopped at a traffic light, and I found myself absently fingering Mom's locket. Something about its weight felt off, like it was heavier than it should be. I'd never actually opened it. Mom had been insistent about keeping it closed until the right time. What's that? Lucy asked, noticing my distraction. Mom's locket. She gave it to me right before. I swallowed hard. Right before she died. Made me promise to keep it safe. Lucy glanced at it curiously. Pretty. Looks old. It was her grandmother's, I think. I turned it over in my hands, studying the intricate engravings. That's when I noticed something strange. A tiny seam that didn't quite match the rest of the pattern. Luce, I said slowly, can we stop somewhere? I need to look at something. She pulled into the parking lot of a small coffee shop we used to frequent with Mom. My hands trembled slightly as I examined the locket more closely. The seam definitely looked intentional, like there was more to the locket than the usual photo compartment. Maybe there's a hidden catch? Lucy suggested, watching me turn it over and over. I pressed different parts of the design, trying to remember if Mom had ever mentioned anything special about the locket. Then I recalled her words. Things aren't always what they seem. The rose engraving in the center, when I pressed it just right, there was a soft click. The back panel of the locket slid open, revealing not photos, but a small folded piece of paper and what looked like a key. Holy shit, Lucy breathed, leaning closer. Your mom left you a secret message. My heart pounding, I carefully unfolded the paper. Mom's familiar handwriting filled the small space. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, then my fears about Marcus were justified. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have listened to you sooner, but I've made arrangements to protect you, arrangements Marcus knows nothing about. The key opens a safety deposit box at First National Bank, box number 247. Go there immediately. Ask for Patricia Winters. She's an old friend and she's expecting you. What you find in that box will change everything. I love you more than life itself. Stay strong. Justice is coming. Love, Mom. I stared at the letter, then at the key, my mind racing. Mom knew, I whispered. She knew what Marcus was really like. She was planning something. Lucy was already putting the car in gear. First National is still open for another hour. Want to find out what's in that box? I clutched the letter and key tightly. Yes, I do. As we drove toward the bank, I thought about all the little things that hadn't quite added up in Mom's final months. The whispered phone calls. The mysterious appointments she wouldn't explain. The way she'd insisted on keeping her old laptop even when Marcus offered to buy her a new one. Mom had always taught me that the truth finds its way out eventually. What truth had she been protecting? What had she hidden away in that safety deposit box that was worth all this secrecy? Lucy parked in front of the bank just as the sun was starting to set. Whatever's in that box, she said, squeezing my hand, I'm right here with you. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage. Let's go find out what Mom's justice looks like. The bank lobby was nearly empty as we approached the main desk. An older woman looked up from her computer, her eyes sharpening with interest when I asked for Patricia Winters. And you are? Emma Mitchell, Margaret Mitchell's daughter. The woman's entire demeanor changed. Of course. We've been expecting you. Follow me, please. As we walked toward the safety deposit box area, I could feel my heart pounding. Whatever Mom had left in that box, it was important enough to keep secret from Marcus, important enough to protect with all these precautions. Patricia Winters was waiting for us in a private viewing room. A slender woman in her 50s with kind eyes and Mom's favorite shade of lipstick. Emma, she said warmly, you look so much like your mother. I've been hoping you'd find your way here soon. You knew my mom. We were friends in college, and I helped her with some legal matters in recent months. Patricia's expression turned serious. She wanted to make absolutely sure you'd be taken care of, no matter what happened. She gestured to a table where a large safety deposit box waited. Shall we see what Margaret left for you? I held out the key with trembling fingers. Whatever was in that box, I knew one thing for certain. Mom had outplayed Marcus one last time, and I was about to find out how. The safety deposit box opened with a soft click that seemed to echo in the quiet room. Patricia stepped back, giving me space as I lifted the lid with trembling hands. Inside was a thick manila envelope, a laptop I recognized as Mom's old one, and a smaller box that looked like it held a USB drive. But what caught my eye first was a letter on top, marked "Read this first" in Mom's handwriting. Lucy squeezed my shoulder as I opened it. Dearest Emma, if you're reading this, then everything has happened as I feared it might. Marcus has shown his true colors, and you're probably feeling lost and betrayed. Don't be. I've been preparing for this moment for months. What you're about to learn will change everything. The laptop contains proof of all of Marcus's crimes, not just stealing my medication, but years of fraud, money laundering, and theft. The USB drive has backup copies of everything, plus recordings of conversations I had with him when he thought I was too medicated to remember. But the most important thing is in the manila envelope. My real will, witnessed and notarized 6 months ago, before Marcus could interfere. Everything I own, the house, my art collection, my investments, it all goes to you, Emma. Marcus's ironclad will is a forgery. My hands shook as I opened the manila envelope. Inside were dozens of documents, bank statements, property deeds, and Mom's true will, exactly as she described. But there was more. Your mother was very thorough, Patricia said softly. She knew Marcus would try something like this. That's why she came to me, not just as her friend, but as a forensic accountant. I looked up sharply. Forensic accountant. Patricia nodded. I've spent the last 6 months helping your mother document everything. Marcus thought you was so clever, hiding money in offshore accounts, selling her medication, forging documents. But he didn't know who he was dealing with. Lucy whistled low as she looked over my shoulder at the documents. Holy shit, Emma. Your mom was a genius. She was right. Page after page showed exactly how Marcus had been stealing from Mom for years, long before she got sick. Bank transfers, forged signatures, suspicious insurance policies, it was all there, meticulously documented. There's something else, Patricia said, reaching for the small box with the USB drive. Your mother made a video statement. Would you like to see it? I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Patricia inserted the drive into a laptop she had ready, and suddenly Mom's face filled the screen. She looked tired but clear-eyed, obviously recorded during one of her better days. Emma, my darling girl, she began, and I felt tears start at the sound of her voice. By now you know the truth about Marcus. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you sooner when you tried to warn me. But I promise you, I made it right. She explained everything. How she first suspected Marcus was stealing from her. How she pretended to be more affected by the medication and she was to catch him in the act. How she worked with Patricia to document every crime. The art collection he's so eager to get his hands on. Mom smiled her old mischievous smile. Most of those paintings are actually high-quality forgeries. I sold the originals months ago and put the money in a trust for you. The real paintings are in a secure storage facility. Patricia has all the details. I couldn't help but laugh through my tears. Even at the end, Mom had been 3 steps ahead of Marcus. But the most important thing, Mom continued, her expression growing serious, is that you understand why I did all this. Not just to protect our assets, but to protect you from him. Marcus is dangerous, Emma. Not just greedy, but vindictive. That's why we had to let him think he won. Patricia paused the video. Your mother left very specific instructions about what happens next. Are you ready to hear them? I squared my shoulders, feeling stronger than I had in months. Yes. Tell me everything. The plan, it turned out, was elegant in its simplicity. Right now, Marcus thought he had everything. The house, the art, the bank accounts. He had no idea that Mom's real will had already been filed with the court, or that copies of all his crimes had been sent to the FBI's white-collar crime division. We wait until tomorrow morning, Patricia explained. He'll be meeting with the estate lawyer, my colleague David Harrison, expecting to take formal possession of everything. That's when we spring the trap. Lucy grinned. Please tell me I can be there to see his face. I spent that night at Lucy's house, barely sleeping as I went through all the documents Mom had left. The more I read, the more amazed I was at her foresight. She thought of everything, protected everything, all while fighting cancer and dealing with Marcus's abuse. The next morning, I dressed carefully in Mom's favorite blazer, which I'd thankfully grabbed during my rushed packing. Lucy drove me to the lawyer's office, where Patricia was waiting outside. Ready? She asked. I touched Mom's locket, still hanging around my neck. Ready. Marcus was already in the conference room, lounging in a leather chair like he owned it. His smug smile faltered slightly when he saw me walk in with Patricia. What is she doing here? He demanded. Ms. Mitchell is here because this concerns her, David Harrison said smoothly. Shall we begin? This won't take long, Marcus said, shooting me a cold look. The will is very clear. Everything goes to me. Ah yes, about that will. Harrison opened a folder. It seems we have a problem. You see, we have another will filed 6 months ago. And this one, he slid it across the table, is the legal one. Marcus's face went pale as he scanned the document. This is impossible. Margaret changed her will. I saw her do it. You saw her sign a will you pressured her to create while she was heavily medicated, Patricia corrected. A will that, by the way, has already been proven to be forged. The FBI is very interested in discussing that with you. The FBI? Marcus laughed, but I could see sweat breaking out on his forehead. This is ridiculous. You can't prove anything. I pulled out Mom's laptop and the USB drive. Actually, we can prove everything. The medication you stole and sold. The money you laundered through fake companies. The art you tried to sell behind Mom's back. She documented all of it. You're bluffing, he snarled, but his hands were shaking. Margaret was many things, Patricia said quietly, but she wasn't stupid. She knew exactly who you were, Marcus. She just made sure you wouldn't know who she was until it was too late. As if on cue, 2 men in suits entered the conference room, showing FBI badges. Marcus Thompson, we need you to come with us. What happened next was almost anticlimactic. Marcus tried to run, made it as far as the elevator before the agents caught him. He was still screaming threats as they led him away in handcuffs. Your mother would have enjoyed that, Patricia said, smiling as we watched from the window. She orchestrated it perfectly, I agreed. Even from beyond the grave, she made sure justice was served. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and revelations. The FBI found even more evidence of Marcus's crimes than Mom had documented. More victims came forward. Other widows he tried to scam, businesses he defrauded. He was looking at serious prison time. I moved back into our house, my house now, and slowly began restoring it to the way Mom had kept it. Her real art collection came out of storage, each piece more beautiful than I remembered. The rose bushes in the garden started blooming again with a little care. One evening, about a month after everything had happened, Lucy and Patricia came over for dinner. We sat in the garden, surrounded by Mom's beloved roses, sharing stories and memories. You know what I keep thinking about, Lucy said, sipping her wine. How different things would have been if your mom hadn't given you that locket. If she hadn't trusted you to figure it all out. She knew I would, I said softly. She always said I was smarter than I gave myself credit for. Patricia smiled. She talked about you constantly during those last months, said you were the only one who saw through Marcus from the beginning. She was so proud of you, Emma. I touched the locket, still hanging around my neck. I wish she could have seen justice served herself. Oh, but she did, Patricia said. She orchestrated every moment of it. She made sure Marcus would feel completely secure before she pulled the rug out from under him. That was her final gift to you, not just the inheritance, but the satisfaction of seeing him face consequences for his actions. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat in Mom's old study. My study now, looking through her things. In a drawer, I found a photo I'd never seen before. Mom and me at the lake house, both of us laughing as we tried to paint the sunset. On the back, she'd written, "Remember, Emma, strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise after the fall. You, my darling, have always known how to rise." I placed the photo on my desk, next to the painting of the lake house I'd managed to rescue from Marcus's garage. Mom had been right. Justice had come, in its own time and in its own way. She'd made sure of that, protecting me one last time, while teaching me to protect myself. The roses in the garden were blooming more beautifully than ever now, their scent drifting in through the open window. Like Mom always said, the most beautiful flowers often grow from the hardest soil. You just have to be patient enough to wait for them to bloom. Marcus would spend years in prison, his crimes finally exposed to the world. The money he'd stolen was recovered. The people he'd hurt would see justice served. And I had not just my inheritance, but something far more valuable. The knowledge that my mother had been even stronger and smarter than I'd known. In the end, Mom had turned Marcus's greatest weapons, his greed and arrogance, against him. She let him think he was winning while she quietly built an insurmountable case against him. She protected not just me, but everyone else he might have hurt in the future. That night, I added my own note to the back of the photo. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me that the greatest strength often comes disguised as patience, and that justice, like your roses, blooms in its own perfect time. The house was quiet now, but it no longer felt empty. Every room held memories of Mom, not just in her things, but in the legacy of strength and wisdom she left behind. Marcus had tried to take everything from us, but in the end, he'd lost everything himself. And somewhere I knew Mom was smiling that knowing smile of hers, satisfied that justice had finally bloomed like her beloved roses, slow to grow, perhaps, but beautiful in its time.